Hello, good morning everyone. So this is the second of my unboxing videos for my most recent purchases. It's a little bit different to the first one, which was a Royal Navy section from Bolt Action, and this is from another Warlord Games range actually. It's their Pike and Shotte range. And as you can see, this is the Infantry Regiment that was originally made for their English Civil War range, but that obviously expanded into the 30 Years' War and the other pike and shot battles that are happening in the mid 17th century. So these chaps should be compatible with any of the battles of the mid 17th century. And I've seen there are a couple of people who use them for mid 17th century imaginations, which is pretty good. That's the sort of thing that I'm really into. So you'll probably be seeing more imagination content than historical content on this channel. That might not be to your necessary taste, but it's the sort of thing that I like, and it's my channel, so I'm going to keep on doing those. Anyway, let's crack on with the unboxing, shall we? Sorry, I have a little bit of a cough. Don't worry, it's not coronavirus. I've been tested. So anyway, what you can't see is a glass of squash that's just out of shot. So anyway, go. So this is the box, and as we can see, this particular one was packed by a chap called Vaz. So thank you, Vaz, for packing this box and for everything else that you do at Warlord Games. I might get into the habit of saying that. More companies should do this, actually, so you get a little bit of content, just who packed it for you, to know that it wasn't done in some sort of vast industrial complex. It's nice to have a bit of a human touch. So what we have here, this is a... Let's get this in shot so you can actually see it. You can see the chaps here. Oh dear, come on focus, work with me. Can't necessarily see that too well, but yes, so this is a command sprue. There's only one of these in the pack. It has 3 chaps on it, and as you can see it's got things like swords and I'm assuming that one of these is a banner. It's got drums, or it's got a drum, sorry, and a few other little things like there's a halberd or polearm of some description here. This isn't focusing too well, is it? Let me move that out of the way and see if that helps any. I think it's just because it's a slightly lighter picture. Hang on one second, let me just check the lighting on this and I'll see if I can do anything to improve. There we go, that's a bit better, isn't it? Right, let's have another proper look at these. So there we go, much more detail we can see there. I just had to close the curtains and put on the central light in my kitchen. As you can see, is the command sprue. Chaps with most magnificent hairstyles. That was all the rage in the 1600s. Some nice hats and effects there. As you can see, there's the drum. It's a 2-part piece. Swords and pistols and all sorts of things. And then we have, let me just check and see if these are identical. I believe that they are. Yes. So we've got the sprue of bases here. They are bases. I don't really know what else you would like me to say about these things, but they are definitely square, so that's that. And then we have 3 infantry sprues here. They are all identical. Let me see, you get 13 chaps on each sprue. I hope nobody here is superstitious. I, for one, am not. We've got the backs of them here, front and back for some. But yeah, so these are your line troops. They are a mix of musketeers and pikemen. As you can see, you've got some long pikes here. And then you've got some muskets here. And we've also got a selection of headwear. Let me see if I can get that to you. Right. So we've got a variety of different caps. We've got one that looks almost a bit like a straw hat, but I suppose it would be more like a leather or a felt hat. We've got, what are they called? Morion, something like that. A helmet here, steel helmet. It's not quite the lobster helmet that the cavalry would wear, that comes in the Pike and Shotte cavalry set. And then we've got some more hats here. There's one that's on a, sorry, two here that are half brimmed or half cocked or whatever you want to call them. And then yes, we've got a few more caps and a couple more hats. I might just paint one of these up to be a straw hat just because I think that they look quite entertaining. Yes, so as you can see, these guys here have matchlock muskets, and you can usually tell on a miniature because they have the little, I think these are like powder stashes or something here on them. They always seem to have a fair few of them. And you don't really tend to see these on soldiers of the later 17th century battles or the early 18th century battles, because they'd moved over from matchlock muskets to flintlock muskets, which meant that the process made it easier to fire. You were much more able to use them when it was damp and things like that. So if you were fighting with these muskets here in the rain, you would have a very difficult time, because if you were using a matchlock, the rain could put out the fuse, or perhaps the fuse wouldn't be, let's get this back in focus, the fuse wouldn't be hot enough to ignite the gunpowder. Also, having that relatively lengthy piece of fuse compared to later firearms meant that using them covertly at night was practically impossible, because you'd be in the distance and somebody would see you light your fuse, because they didn't just burn a little bit, they fizzed a touch before they fired, and it just made any attempt of a covert night attack using muskets impossible. So yes, the later revolutions of military weapons enabled much more sneaky business, which was not possible with the weapons of this day. But yes, as you can see, two more of those sprues, absolutely identical. Yes, so I'm not quite sure what I'll be using these with. I really got these on a whim because I saw them come out years ago. These are not new releases, but I was always taken with them, and I always thought, well, I'd always love to have at least, one box of those. The problem with changing the lighting here is that now there's the sun. Well, I say the sun, my kitchen light, shining right where I want to show the detail. But yeah, so I kind of bought these on a whim. I don't really know what I'm going to be doing with them just yet, but I am interested, as I mentioned, in imagination conflicts. I've had an interest in them for a little while, but it really came to a point where I probably listened to too many of the Henry Hyde Battle Chat podcasts over the UK lockdown. And yeah, I just really got it into my mind that it's something that I wanted to get into. So you may well be seeing more of those from me. I hope that you enjoy seeing things like that. The sort of things that I'll probably be looking at doing on this channel will be a mix of very British Civil War, because I have quite a collection that needs painting, and then a mix of imagination conflicts, either in the late 1900s. I'm very fascinated by that kind of period because you don't often see many traditional imaginations. Quite often it goes over into Victorian science fiction or steampunk, which I'm not averse to. I quite like those subjects, but obviously the rank and file probably wouldn't have such technological wonder weapons. So I'm much more interested in those sorts of things. And yeah, and then also potentially imagination set in the mid 1600s or the mid 17th century, and just to really see how much mileage we can get out of them. I also intend to do a bit of fantasy because I have quite a large and threatening collection of Lord of the Rings strategy battle game miniatures that leer at me from their boxes in the cupboard. And yeah, I'd quite like to get them painted up. Not necessarily to use for the strategy battle game. I'm much more interested in non-Games Workshop rule systems. But yeah, they will no doubt find a use. And yeah, so just to close this one off, there's a little piece of paper here that comes with everything that you need to know about the English Civil War. We've got a little bit here about how to assemble your miniatures. And then here is quite nice. We've got a selection of paint schemes for parliamentary regiments, and then another for royalist regiments. So let me see. Well, there's one that I quite like, and I might have to adapt that colour scheme somewhat. Philip Skippon's regiment, raised in London as a part of Essex's army. That's the Earl of Essex. Fought at the first Battle of Newbury, the Battle of Lostwithiel, and the Second Battle of Newbury. Now, the Battle of Lostwithiel interests me because I live in Cornwall, in the very, very southwesterly part of the southwest of England. Some would contest and say that Cornwall isn't England. I don't really have any leg to stand on in having a go at that argument. But yes, so I'm always greatly interested in Cornish regiments and armies that have fought in Cornwall, and there were a few battles of the English Civil War in Cornwall. It just closes here with a few different flags for both Parliament and the Royalists. As you can see here, it's the Earl of Essex's Parliamentarian Regiment, the Parliamentarian Regiment of Foot, and then Prince Rupert's Bluecoats. Yes, Bluecoats. Royalist Regiment of Foot, and yes, again, Royalist Regiment of Foot. There, so some very nice flags. I have some flags from elsewhere. I can't quite remember where I got them from. It might have been Empress miniatures, but I can't rightly remember. But I'm also looking at getting a few more. So yes, that is that. So that's the end of this video, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. We've still got another unboxing video to go. And yeah, I hope that you guys like what you see and that you'll hang around and maybe like and subscribe this video. So until next time, God bless, and I'll catch you later. Cheers.